Welcome to FPTA. My name is Madison Huemmer, and this is my presentation, Brand Yoself. A little bit about myself. My name is Madison Huemmer. I am the EVP of Sales and Marketing at iPark. I regularly speak, lead webinars, and publish articles. My focus is on professional development, business ethics, women in leadership, and personal branding. I have previously spoken at IPMI Leadership, CPPA, NEPC, WHIP, and a few other parking orgs. I was previously on the Women in Parking Board and am currently on the California Public Parking Association Board as their social media chair and their conference chair. I hold a Bachelor of Arts from the University of California, Santa Cruz. I am a woman in business and a woman who means business. Today, we are going to learn how to trademark ourselves and our organizations. First, we are going to focus on ourselves. The four main lessons that we will work on today are key characteristics, signature pieces, online and print presence, and advocacy. Let's start by defining what personal branding is. What is it and why is it important? The definition of personal branding is the practice of marketing people and their careers as brands. It's an ongoing process of developing and maintaining a reputation and impression of an individual, group, or organization. Think of yourself as a product on the shelf of Target. Are you useful, powerful? Are you playful? Are you cheap? The sad part is we don't have complete control over this. Your age, race, and gender are things that you do not have control over. These are called innate characteristics, aka a somewhat random assortment of genes. These innate characteristics are always going to be with you. So instead, we are going to focus on acquired characteristics. These are learned and chosen characteristics that we do have control over. This is important because if you're not actively thinking about your persona, you are leaving your reputation in everyone else's hands. This exercise is designed to help you retain control over your presence and use your branded persona to help you attain your goals. An exercise I use at all of my presentations is to write down the top 3 characteristics that you embody. So take out a pen and paper or take out your phone for your notepad and write down 3 or 4 traits that you think that you embody. Next, we're going to take about 5 minutes and ask others to assess you as well. Friends, family, coworkers, whoever is in the next room or you think will text you back quickly. Pause here as you get your answers or move along with your own answers and come back to this section and compare once you receive replies. So take 5. This exercise is designed to help you show off your amazing, authentic self, but with a few professional tweaks. I will now show mine so you can see how this works. These first characteristics came from my coworkers, my friends, and my family. The goal is 3 or 4 traits because that's all you're going to get across to a new person. I will get these same 4 traits over and over again when I've asked this question. Confident, dorky, blunt, and talkative. It's a pretty fair assessment. Now let's begin tweaking for professionalism. I am going to keep confident. I like that one. We are going to tweak dorky slightly to intelligent, which we will get into a little bit more in a minute. And we are going to tweak blunt to honest. Talkative is not something that I think my professional or my personal life benefits from being a main trait. So I'm trying very hard to reduce this one. So it's not included in the goal traits. So as I go through my professional life, I try to listen to myself as an outsider and refine my actions and my words as I go to come off as my best self. Here is an example of my first tweak. My COO loves to call me a dork. Not the first time I've heard this, and I don't disagree. I wear big glasses, I have a model DeLorean on my desk, I love Harry Potter, I'm definitely a dork. But I'm also a lot more than that. And while I love Star Wars and I love Stargate Atlantis, I also love technology, and I'm good with it. So we're adding in techie. I would also even venture to claim to be an expert in my niche of parking. So we're adding that word as well. And all three of these traits fall under one important characteristic: intelligence. That is my goal word. It encompasses all three traits I want the world to see: dorky, expert, and techie, under one neat little word: intelligent. So the goal for me is not to hide my dorkiness, but to reduce it. Instead, sharing more of my techie and expert sides to highlight my intelligence. So for every time I share a Stargate fact, I should also remind myself to chat about APIs. It is important that these must be genuine characteristics. Otherwise, this exercise is useless. Shaquille O'Neal. What are some words for him? Pause here for a minute or two and write down a few. Here are a few that most people write down: athlete, dad, kind, goofy, entrepreneur, lovable. All positive traits. He has a great reputation, right? The true lesson about Shaq actually lies with Papa John's, though. The founder of Papa John's has had quite a few PR nightmares. He made some racist comments, and he was accused of sexual misconduct at their office. There was a last straw at a board meeting in 2017, and he was fired. The MLB immediately dropped Papa John's. Jeffersonville returned a $400,000 donation, and the University of Louisville took his name off their stadium. No more Papa John's. The list of repercussions goes on and on, but those are the big ones. So, why am I bringing up Papa John's when I was initially talking about Shaq? The point is, the company was tanking. Stocks plummeted, and they had to sell a large portion of the company. But then they brought in Shaq. The goofy, lovable, always happy Shaq told the new CEO, "If you get some real diversity on your leadership team, I'll help." He staked his impeccable personal brand on this company. He invested his own money, and he became the new face of the pizza chain. Of course, with endorsement money, know your worth. And it paid off. The last 2 years, the company's stock has not only rebounded, but thrived. The company saved themselves, and Shaq made an enormous return on his investment. The takeaway. Number 1, position yourself to be like Shaq. Build an impeccable reputation so that you can be the knight in shining armor. Companies pay you not only for your experience, but for your ability to be a leader and a figurehead that they can trust with their reputation. Number 2, if you find yourself in a PR nightmare, clear house of the offenders and bring in a parking Shaq. It's the oldest marketing trick because it works. Now we move on to Justin Bieber. Take another minute or two, write down some words about him. Here are some words that are common to describe Justin Bieber: singer, cheater, drugs, married, dramatic, immature. But how about philanthropist? He is one of the top celebrity philanthropists in the United States. both with his time and with his money. The point here is that a negative brand is very difficult to change. It is not impossible, but it's difficult. So the earlier you start actively engaging in your personal brand, the better. It is time to refine the traits that we wrote down earlier. There are some example traits listed on the screen if you need a little bit of help. Take some time and reach out to more people to ask for additional traits. You need a consistent list. Sometimes our self-assessments don't line up well with the perception of others, so this is a very important step. Consult with people who you know very well, and if you're brave, contact people you don't know very well. Call your coworkers, text your friends, see what your perception is versus theirs, and refine down to 3 or 4 defining characteristics. The last time I did this presentation in person, someone texted their ex-girlfriend. I actually think this is a great idea to text someone who you might not necessarily be on the best terms with, because they will be honest. If anyone texts an ex, please let me know on LinkedIn and I will send you a prize. If you're having trouble focusing your brand, you can look for successful examples. Who is a role model? Who do you aspire to be? Is that Steve Jobs? Do you want to emulate Amal Clooney, Gabby Douglas, Bill Gates? Who is that for you? And go and study them. Another great place to start is searching for your dream job application. Most applications nowadays will offer some insight into the personality traits that they are looking for. For example, I found an ad for a CFO and I pulled a few traits from their ad. Those were analytical, communicative, and an effective collaborator. I liked these traits because they led with something common in finance folks. Being analytical is a must-have for any finance person. However, what many CFOs lack are the interpersonal skills that tend to come a little bit easier to the CEOs and the COOs. But this company was smart. This company is looking for someone who not only can balance their budget, but can provide meaningful leadership. I will point out, of course, that we are all much more than 3 words. I am also punctual, charitable, decisive, authentic, badass, caring, a dog mom. But these are all secondary and will only come out after you've met me a few times. They will not be my defining characteristics in my first, second, third impression. If you have not done so already, please pause here for 5 minutes, get your traits, and then resume. If you are really struggling with this exercise, here is a cheat sheet. Pause here and read through these bullets. These are all common traits of well-liked people. The same exercise can be used for your company. Your elevator pitch cannot be very long, your website can't be too complex, and your social media can't be long or boring. So you need to focus your message on a few company traits. On the screen here are a few positive associations for your company to try to achieve. I think some fair ones for iPark, my company, are trustworthy, a good value, and established. If you look at our messaging, we hit hard that we've been around for 21 years, longer than most of our competitors, and that message works for us. It drives home the point that we know what we're doing and we are financially stable. We will be around for another 21 years. Our industry has a lot of pay-by-sell companies. One thing that they do particularly well is driving home that tech persona. From their marketing to their booth staff, t-shirts to coffee bars. This is called brand association or brand tags. When you are at a conference and you see someone in a t-shirt, you know that they very likely work for a pay-by-sell company. If they're in a neon green shirt, you know exactly which company. All because they have a consistent brand presence. The trick is that these brand tags also have to be accurate, or at least in the realm of possibility. So is a 5-year company really proven? Maybe that's not the best trait to hit. Instead, use innovative. If you choose inaccurate or false traits, it will come back at you. We are a very small industry, and your brand association will not be what you want it to be. Instead, it will be slimy. If you think your company or your organization needs a messaging makeover, look to some of the companies you trust in similar industries and see if you can match some of their messaging. Establishing your brand tags will help you with brand loyalty. Here is a classic example, Coca-Cola. Typically, food and beverages will use words like tasty, refreshing, low calorie. While you see those phrases occasionally from Coke, they aren't the main message because they're expected and they're played out. What you're mainly buying when you buy a Coke is happiness. At least that's what their advertising says. Their ads are about togetherness, sharing, holidays, family. You get a warm and fuzzy feeling when you see that polar bear family and you go and buy a Coke. This is purposeful and it works. It's a little harder to do in parking since we don't have addictive products and none of us have a $4 billion marketing budget, but you get the picture. Think outside the box and look for examples that fit your company and your goals, and make sure that you're using purposeful phrases, hashtags, and imagery that furthers your message. On to lesson 2. Signature pieces or looks can help others remember you and drive home your brand attributes. I think all of us here realize that appearance matters, but I don't think we understand quite how important consistency is with your appearance. For me, the consistency means that I am almost always in business formal, or at a minimum, I'm in business casual. I have long straight hair and glasses. Drive home the polished professional look that you want while staying consistent with your brand and help others recognize you. We are in a time when we haven't seen each other face to face in many, many months. Do you think that your face will be remembered when we go back? Or are they going to mix you up with Janet from XYZ boring company that you don't want to be associated with? Some rules are, number 1, don't change more than one dress code level. Not at the same conference. It's confusing. If you wear a suit and tie on Monday and a t-shirt on Tuesday without a reason, it's distracting and confusing. Obviously, if you're going to play golf or something, you have a reason. But if you're just going to the trade show floor, do not change dress codes. Number 2, don't switch up your hair or makeup too often. When you're only seeing colleagues once or twice a year, it makes you harder to recognize. Number 3, find something unique that will help you stand out in the sea of business people. Do you have special shoes, a university polo, a statement necklace? These are both conversation starters and will help people remember who you are the next time they meet you. Here, I always love to point out Astrid from Parking Today. She commonly wears a top hat, and while a top hat might not be your style, it definitely fits her personality. It's unique, and it helps you remember who she is. So not everyone needs a top hat, but go for, are there certain earrings that you always wear? Are you known for always being in a nice suit? Do you like to wear Vans with your suit? Something like that. The next lesson is about your online and print presence. If you haven't published an article yet, go find someone from IPMI. Call them, email them, ask to write a blog post or an article for them. If you blatantly ask someone, it's very hard for them to say no. This lesson is a little bit easier for you to do in person, so if you want to keep this lesson in your back pocket for the next conference, please feel free to do so. But the idea is we are going to start small, and from there, you get to hone in what your message is. What are you an expert at, and what your audience is interested in learning. That way, you are carving a path towards a larger presence online and in print. You can work up from a blog next to an article, then onto a webinar, speaking gigs, and then you'll make it to the big kahuna conferences like IPMI and FPTA. Your media presence is an important factor to elevate yourself above the crowd and drive home your personal branding. This next slide is extremely important. Social media. We have two categories. We have professional, which is definitely LinkedIn and occasionally Twitter. And then we have our personal social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, MySpace, sometimes Twitter. There are others, but these are the big 5. The lesson here is make it private or censor yourself. LinkedIn. This is the professional social media. Treat this as a tool to get your personal brand out. Use clever headlines, post media that reflects your message, comment and engage with content you like. If you are not ready to publish your own content quite yet, start with a like, a share, comment. Those are all great places to start. You probably already censor yourself on LinkedIn, but let me reiterate, no good is going to come from you treating LinkedIn like Facebook. Do not share your personal information here, and please make sure your headshots are somewhat recent and professional. The rest of these platforms, I did about 20 minutes of digging, and I looked up parking professionals and found public profiles. And a few of the things I found definitely do not support their brand. I found check-ins at strip clubs. I found inappropriate photos. I found a lot of political posts. I saw that someone's marital status does not match up with what they tell people. These are just a few things that I found extremely quickly. Do not let this be you. Everyone knows that you have a life. You're allowed to have a personal life. But the first thing that someone learns about you shouldn't be what type of gentleman's club you like. Employers aren't supposed to look at your social media, but they do. So go clean them up or lock them down. If you feel the need to post this content, that is your right. Just my suggestion would be to unfriend parking people because no one will be offended. We all understand that you want some privacy. That's fine. Our last lesson is about advocacy. Advocating for yourself, aka bragging. It's called bragging, but all we're really going to do is state facts and truth. If you're comfortable accepting praise, this is a great tool for your personal branding. Again, my words from earlier were intelligent, confident, and honest. I'm going to give you an example. Once at a conference, Brett Wood and I were with 2 people from the city of Columbus. I had never met the city employees before, and Brett introduced me and told them that I was brilliant. I said, I am. Instead of being coy, I agreed. Agreeing with people's compliments is okay. Lots of us get very weird about compliments, but the more you start accepting them, the easier it will be. Why would you disagree with something that you think is the truth? If someone introduces you to a new person and they say, "This is Mary. She's amazing at her job. She's a whiz at Excel." It's okay to say, "I love Excel. You're right. I'm an Excel dork." So go ahead and agree with those brags. By me agreeing with Brett, I was showing also that I'm confident and I'm honest, two of my other key terms. This also shows point number 2. Be an advocate for others and let them be an advocate for you. I love Lauren Santillano. She used to work for T2, and that's where we met. Her at T2, myself at iPark, competitors. Lauren is fearless, she's fun, and she's smart as hell. Lauren asked me a few years ago to speak at a conference while her and I were competitors. And at that presentation, I brought up these exact same traits that I admire about her. I gave a competitor's staff member a shout out during my presentation. I passed the favor back, and that is human nature. So you help someone else by advocating for them, and they will almost always do it right back for you. Not only is this human nature, it's smart. Lauren now works for Route 1, an LPR company that I work with on an almost daily basis. And our relationship is strong because of mutual respect that we have had for each other, both in our words and our actions. So now it's time for some homework. You are going to go and ask your boss, a colleague, a friend to post one of your accomplishments to social media, any social platform to start. Next, you are going to ask another colleague to put you up for an award. There are tons of awards out there with parking conferences. On top of that, most large cities will also have business awards. In San Diego, we have the Women in Business Awards that I have participated in several years in a row. I've also put up others for those awards. That's also a very good place to start. If you're not feeling that confident on being put up for an award, think about this. Your company or your institution has paid for you to come to this conference. They wouldn't have done so if they didn't think you had something important to contribute to their organization. They think you're important and they think you are deserving. Ask others to help show the world how badass you are, and you will get a return on your investment. This is now the end of our presentation. I am available to chat for anyone who wants to further discuss any of the items that I've covered or any of the homework. You can talk to me via text, you can call me, you can email me, you can message me on LinkedIn. I will even brag for you on LinkedIn if you want to use me as your homework items. Just contact me and I will happily share your accomplishments with the world. Last thing, everyone who posts on LinkedIn one thing that you've learned from this presentation and tags me in it, you will be entered to win a $50 Amazon card. So get out there and take charge of your brand.